Hello everybody, this is Game Guy 99, and today I have a very special unboxing for you. This is going to be a Steam Deck unboxing. Yes, I ordered this last week, and a couple days later I got the reservation, I made the order, got shipped out yesterday, and it came today. This is extremely fast, guys. I highly recommend you guys get your hands on one. If you really want one, now is the perfect time for Q3. So we're gonna unbox this, and from the looks of it, it has not been tampered with, it has not been stolen. We are gonna unbox this, and here we go. All right, your games are going places. That is really cool. So let's just look at this. This is the charger, and as you can see, tape over it so it has not been tampered. That's really good. And we have the Steam Deck case, and honestly I'm really liking the look of it, so I'm just gonna put that away. I'm doing this in a rush because this is my lunch break. I'm at home, so I'm just trying to get this done really fast. If you guys enjoyed this video so far, please smash that like button, subscribe, it really does help me out. Alright, your games are going places. So there goes the strap. Just gonna slide this baby off. No, I don't want to mess up the box. There we go. And here goes your traditional Steam Deck carrying case. I know there's a premium one that has a colored logo. This is just a basic logo. You have your strap right here. I don't know if you can store other stuff in there. Alright, so let's just unzip this. Oh, I have to undo that real quick. So let me just... Hard to do this with just one hand. There we go. Got that. Alright. And I'm just going to undo this. And there we have it. And there goes me. Hey guys. From the reflection. But here is the Steam Deck. And my goodness, is this thing huge. I thought people were exaggerating about the size of this thing, but my goodness. There goes my keyboard for my laptop, and this thing is just as wide as my keyboard. It's ridiculous. Anyways, I'm just going to scoot that back. Let's just take this out, and let's just see what we got. Alright. Now, after taking this out of the case, and if this can focus, we have your typical XYBA buttons if you're an Xbox player. And this thing actually feels extremely comfortable. Really comfortable. Even more comfortable than the Switch. The thumbsticks feel really good. The triggers are nice. Clicky. Your trackpad. So the Steam Deck has two trackpads that has haptic feedback. So pretty much this is kind of like a mouse, like having a mouse. So essentially what the Steam Deck is, it's practically a shrunken down PC. There goes your fan vents, right there. There goes Valve Corp. So this is basically your miniature PC. And I'm sorry if I can just get this thing just to focus just a little bit. This is pretty much like a shrunken down PC that you can take with you wherever you go. Got your D-pad right here. I think that's like a Windows button, Steam button. That might be your options. Power button, USB Type-C, audio jacks cord, volume control. And then under it you have mappable buttons. So for those people who like to play MMOs or fighting games, you have those. So this is honestly really cool. I'm loving the feel of this. Really nice. So this is what the Steam Deck is going to look like all loaded up. This is going to be my home screen, which has a list of games that I've been playing. So if you actually want to see your library games, you actually have to press the Steam button right here. And when you press the Steam button, a drop-down menu appears, and you have Home, Library, Store, Friends and Chat, Media, Download, Settings, and Power. So if you want to see your library games, you just go into Library, and it has a selection of games that you own. If you go to Store, it takes you to the Steam Store, which if you guys haven't been to Steam Store is basically like a regular online digital store where you can purchase games. A lot of good deals there. You can see your friends in the chat. I think this opens up the browsers. This tells you where your downloads are at. It goes into the basic settings, which is general, system, security, internet, notification, display, Bluetooth. You can connect Bluetooth to this. I actually have a Bluetooth mouse. So you can see my cursor there. I have this mouse for desktop mode, which I'm going to show in a little bit. But pretty much you can see your storage. As you can see here, this is the internal storage. You get 56.5 gigs of storage. I bet the rest of the storage, or the rest of the gigs, was used for the operating system. And this is the micro SD that I have. I have all my games and most of everything on my micro SD card. So let's go into desktop mode. So to get on desktop mode, you just gotta go into Power, and Power has the typical settings: sleep, shutdown, restart. But then it has an option to change the account and to switch to desktop. So you gotta switch to desktop, and this is where you can pretty much play and mess around with the Steam Deck. This is where you can download applications and stuff. So you don't have to get a mouse, but I highly recommend you do, because it's very annoying if you don't have a mouse. Because again, this is when it's on desktop mode. This is when it turns into a PC. So I'm just going to turn on my Bluetooth mouse and operate it. So there's an application store, there is the file manager, and there's Firefox as a browser. So you can pretty much use the browser to go to EmuDeck and go to the EmuDeck website, download it, and then it'll install all of these and sets up all the emulators for you to use. There's also a Discover Software Center where you can pretty much see what applications you want to get, games, other stuff, and what's installed. So these are the emulators I have installed. You could go into settings and see mess with the settings with the applications, and these are where your updates are going to be. So now that we know what desktop mode is, let's find out what this button does right here. So when you press this button, this is where you go into your quick settings. So this is kind of like the PlayStation button when you press it once, and it has all the other menus up here. So you have your quick settings. You can adjust the brightness, the audio, simple settings. But when you go into the battery, this is where you can pretty much play with the settings for the Steam Deck. You can have it run at 60 frames, 30 frames, 15 frames. You can also mess with the refresh rate. You can pretty much use this to play with the games that you're emulating. So when you mess with the frame rate, it might run smoother, it may not. EmuDeck does that for you and pretty much sets the games to run at its best. I would say this is more beneficial for Steam games or emulators that have not been installed by EmuDeck. So let's say if you don't get EmuDeck and you get RCPS PSX2, the PS2 emulator, then you can use the frame rate limit to benefit. So When you first turn on your Steam Deck, it's going to install Steam for you while also asking you to sign into your account. You can easily make one. It's very simple, or you can just sign into your account. So I'm going to be showing footage of what I had set up. These are my games that I have from Steam. And you're also going to see games that I have on emulators. I have PS1, PS2, PS3, and one game for the Wii. I've done this through EmuDeck. EmuDeck is an application that you get in the desktop mode. There are tons of videos on it. I highly recommend you watch them. I'll leave some links in the description below. But I'm going to be showing some gameplay of 3 games from 3 different systems using 3 different emulators. The first game we're going to be looking at is going to be Silent Hill on the PS1. As you can see, it runs at 60 frames per second if you can look on the top left corner. And the game runs smoothly. There's no surprise there. The Steam Deck can handle better games than the PS1 game, and the emulators work just fine for the PS1. There's no real issue here. It can pretty much run any PS1 game as long as you have the right ISO and the right BIOS file, which shouldn't be very hard to find. The second game is from the PS2 emulator PCSX2. This is Silent Hill 2. This game is running very smoothly at 60 frames per second. It kind of stutters a little bit, but not too noticeable. The only issue I did have with this is that the emulator that is being used cannot show the FMV footage or the motion capture cutscenes that this game took. It's not a huge issue. You can fix that by going into the emulator settings and dabbling with it a little bit by switching it to software renderer, but otherwise the game runs smoothly. The third game we have is Need for Speed Carbon. This was my favorite game growing up, and the first racing game that I actually got on the PS3. It runs extremely smooth at 60 frames per second. The game looks and runs at better than it did on the PS3. No issues here. It did take me a while to figure out the PS3, having to download the correct BIOS because I had the incorrect BIOS, but I was able to get the games to run smooth. So, after messing around with the Steam Deck and playing with it for a couple of days, I have to say that I'm extremely impressed with the performance that I'm getting out of such a small form factor. Yes, it is a bit big. It's way bigger than a Switch. It's a little hefty. It's not that heavy. People are over-exaggerating saying it's extremely heavy. It's not heavy, and if your backpack's big, you can definitely fit this inside with a couple of books, clothes, if you're going on a hiking trip. Whenever I'm leaving the house, I want to take this with me. If I'm going to a doctor's appointment and I have to be in the doctor's office, I want to have this. If I am going on a trip or a road trip and my parents are driving me somewhere, I want to play this while I'm on the road. I also want to play this while I'm in the hotel. This device is such an amazing device for $400. $400 is such a huge bargain. For $400, you can practically play any game that you want. You can play games via the Steam Store, and the Steam Store has a ton of great deals for you to buy games. They have deals every month, so it's damn near impossible not to find a good deal. You can practically buy Left 4 Dead 2 for $2. You can play some indie games, some mainstream games like Black Ops 3 if you get a SIM card. This deck is absolutely amazing. It deserves way more praise than it's getting. The only limitation, however, is its battery, which is the one major downside that I found with this thing, is the battery. The battery doesn't really last long depending on what games you're playing. If you're playing emulated games like PS2, PS1, Wii, the battery will probably last you a lot longer than if you're playing a more mainstream, more modern game like Call of Duty Black Ops 3 or Need for Speed Heat. Those games will chew up the battery more than emulators. Speaking of emulators, the one emulator that I was having issues with was RPC3, which is the PS3 emulator. I figured it out. It runs great now, but it's not perfect. The emulation on this is not perfect. Yeah, there is still some bugs, like for example, Silent Hill 2. The motion capture cutscenes would not show up. Something with the FMV. So what you had to do to fix that was you had to go into your render options, the graphics options within the emulator itself, and you would have to switch to software. But by switching to software, you're losing the rendering and the resolution. So it's going to go back to its native resolution, which is all pixelated, which I'm not a huge fan of. So I'll take the hit of not seeing the cutscenes because I played Silent Hill 2 plenty of times. It's not really important. And the motion capture cutscenes, there's only a handful of them in the game, so it's not really end of the world, a deal breaker for me. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please smash that like button, subscribe, it really does help me on this new channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.